This stuff is the nitty-gritty, the very heart of the matter of how this whole thing is done, unraveled. It's like dismantling a safe from the inside. You're stuck in a safe and you're picking the locks from the inside out, dismantling it. Because by inside 150 is done which we're on 133 now. It's the 3.5 years of bulk of the knowledge which I researched and wrote. All right, inside 133, being the major part of the book. This is it. We're already talking about. Now I will show you how to find the influences and the cracks in the doorways to your consciousness, as well as the paths the influences might take after they have entered. It is easy to spot a hole in the doorway when you pour water into it. You notice the spillage on the outside, and you trace the flow of water and the path the water took right back to the hole in the door. It is easy to see the weakness and paths that lead you to become sexual in a situation. You notice the sexual behavior, and you trace the flow of thoughts and the path the thoughts took right back to the original weaknesses in your consciousness. So earlier we had talked about in other insights that sexual influences come through the cracks in the doorway of your consciousness. In other words, in your sense of awareness, your consciousness throughout the day, somehow you're being infiltrated by outside influences, and you're led to a sexual behavior. But you haven't discovered the cracks, exactly where those cracks are. So here we're showing you how to actually do it. You go in reverse, you backtrack, you go in reverse from the thoughts that you have figured out, sexual, and you go back into figuring out the doorway where it originally came from. I'll give you a little more information about Insight 133. So basically, when you have you are in the midst of experiencing the sensual pleasures, or you have just finished the sensual pleasures. So let's say you finished the sensual pleasures. Now you have to become aware of this pleasure, what you were actually specifically thinking of, and what led to this thought, what other sexual thought led to this thought, what other thought, So you go back, and then you go from there. How did you get to that thought? What thought led to this? And you continue to do this until you figure out the original thought that started it all, which oftentimes is accidental. You didn't consciously actually choose to become sexual. It was accidental connection of ideas. If you cannot figure out this back tracing method, any thoughts that you can figure out, that you remember, the end part, any parts in the middle, you can remember any parts in the middle. Good. Let's say you remember. Here, let's see. Let's say this is the thought, the original thought, which is unconscious. You're not aware of how it started at all. This is the original thought, and here's some other thoughts in between. Final thought of sex, and you're into sexual gratification, self-pleasure. So let's say this is what you have to discover. And ideally you want to go from here, go way back, and you figure out how it started. There you go. Now, for a lot of people, this may be difficult. So what you're going to do is that you think of any thought that occurred to you. You trace back this memory that happened within the past a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was, and because it just happened recently, so it's likely you're able to think of it. So think of any thought that you could think that comes to your mind. Maybe you think of a thought that I remember it happened here, that I was thinking this. Good. From here now, see if you could backtrack a little bit and see how you were led to this thought, or how did this thought lead to the next thought. Where did you go from there, and how did you come here? See, you do this with every part that you could think of. you think to yourself, I remember this part. This part I was, and then you go, okay, I was feeling this and that and that, and this led to that. Good, and I was thinking this before that. See, and so eventually you learn to connect these enough so that you could build a nice, clear diagram of what happened, the pattern of from the past to the beginning, and from beginning to the past. Now, originally, you may have difficulty finding to you have difficulty actually doing this. So then, as mentioned in other insights, you want to practice being conscious during your everyday activities. So you practice that. So let's say you get involved, you want to buy ice cream, right? You're sitting there, television, you saw the ice cream commercial, or you walk through the store and you want to get an ice cream. Okay, think to yourself, why did you want to get an ice cream? What occurred? So you use it. You use practicing, being aware of what thoughts of yours began and led to other thoughts that led you to the activity of wanting to buy ice cream, and where you bought an ice cream, or if you wanted to go someplace, or you had to meet somebody. Practice becoming aware of how you make decisions, how you go some places, what thoughts you think of, and how you thought of those thoughts, right? Okay, so that, and you do the same method in your everyday life. Practicing, learning, becoming conscious of how your mind operates, of how you think, how your mind connects ideas to the next, and what is your decision-making process, and all this stuff. So then you become quite good at it, about tracing your thoughts and thought pathways, and when you become good at it, then you could apply this method to the sexual experience. When you get sexual, then you start thinking, oh, what was I thinking? So then you start making headway in your understanding in sexual matters.